Hey guys, Andy back here from Mediocre Hobbies, bringing you a super cool and exciting painting tutorial. I managed to get myself a copy of the Eldritch Omens box set, and I'm going to be doing a 5-part series on how to paint up all the different units inside this box set. We're going to do a video on each of the units except for the Forge Fiend, so it's basically every new unit that you can get your hands on in the book. And part 1 of that series is going to be on the beautiful new Eldar Autarch. I'm going to show you guys all the different parts you do get with this miniature, because it's actually shocking the options you get with it, and I don't think they talked about it nearly enough in any of the promo material, so I'm super excited to show you that. So stick around to the end of the video, see how the miniature turned out, and enjoy. After I did manage to get my hands on this box set, I had to make the decision which model to build first, and after I cracked it open and saw the sprues, there was no way I wasn't going to start with the beautiful new Autarch model. I was surprised by the options on this, including the option to have a male or a female Autarch, which I thought was pretty cool. You also get all the different weapon options you could possibly need for an Autarch, which made deciding on what to use to build him as really difficult. In the end, I went for a male Autarch, better represent me on the battlefield, and I got to work assembling the miniature. I love the full color, beautiful instructions, making it really clear of all the different options that you can have. And with my decisions made, I begun the process of cutting out the parts and then cleaning them up using a sharp scalpel to remove any extra bits of flash and some mole lines. Quick procedure, but it will make all the difference in the assembly of the miniature later on. After all the parts were cleaned up, I begun the process of gluing the model together. So a touch of plastic glue into the joins, stick the pieces together and wipe away the excess glue. Last thing you want is extra bulgy bits of glue left over, melting the plastic and giving you not nice seams between parts. The model went together like an absolute dream, no gaps whatsoever. It was super fun. And I think 2 more of these at least are in my future, so that I can use all of the weapon options possible. Paint them up in different ways as well. Then stuck what I had done, the torso, to a base. And then with that done and secured, I could start building on the weapons choices that I wanted. In the end, I chose a fusion blaster in case you came across any heavy armor. Heavy walkers or orcs in mega armor, for instance, take off a good chunk of wounds from that. And after reading the profiles on the weaponry, it was an easy choice to pick the beautiful glaive. The model, like I said, went together very well. I did want to leave the cape off for the purposes of painting, but with the way the spear wraps over it, I didn't want to try and finick that in later on. So I decided to attach the cloak, but I did leave the warp jump generator off the back of the miniature for ease of painting. I then gave the model a quick spray of Chaos Black all over, and then a Zenithal of Grey Seer. It's a bit speckly, but that's totally okay with for the way that we're going to paint that miniature. We're going to start with Blood Angel's red contrast for the armor. I do love the red scheme for Eldar, so I'm going to be sticking with that. So with Blood Angel's red contrast on your brush, you're going to brush that into all of the armor panels on the miniature. I'm going quite heavy with it so it settles into all the cracks and recesses, and then drag the brush across to remove any of the excess buildup without leaving any brush marks in those flat panels. Take your time with this. It's quite a strong color, so it's not something that I would want to hit the cape with or the helmet with, because they're going to go a nice white creamy color, and using the contrast over the red staining will be super difficult moving forward. So try and be as careful as possible with this. This is how I attached the warp generator. I used a piece of leftover sprue, glued that to a base, and then the generator to that with super glue, so for easy removal later on. So here's all of the red armor done with the red contrast. Now we're going to move over to Black Templar's contrast, and this is for the weapon casings, the fin on the top of the helmet, his faceplate, and a few more bits and pieces around the miniature. I will do a little 360 of it so you see the different parts that are black. But it's a super quick process, once again just to help break up all the armor from the red and crimson of the cape. I was super pleased with how the painting process in this guy was going. I'm so excited for the rest of the Eldar range so I can get my hands on all those beautiful models and get them painted up. Now we're going to move over to Skeleton Horde. This is the base contrast that we're going to use for all those parts that are going to be that nice cream color. So the cloth, his loincloth, the inside of his cloak, and his big beautiful helmet will all get a coat of Skeleton Horde contrast. This is a very quick step, but it will make the layering process easier further down the line. Once again, being careful not to hit the red on this miniature, although the Skeleton Horde won't stain the red too much, so it's not too big of a worry. But anything to make your life a little bit easier further down the paint job, you might as well do. And moving on to the helmet. The detail is going to go gold. You can hit that with the Skeleton Horde, no problem. So the big rune in the center of his helmet, that's fine to get covered in Skeleton Horde. Just make sure you get it into all the nooks and crannies. I've said it before, but I thoroughly enjoyed the process of painting up this model. And I cannot wait to get my hands on the rest of the range. The next few videos will of course be the new Ranger bikes and the new Rangers on foot, as I already have those from this box set. Okay, that is all the Skeleton Horde applied. Time to move over to Wildwood, and this is for all of the leather straps and holsters that this model has around its waist and going up the center of its chest. This is a beautiful dark brown color which acts as a perfect base coat for nice rich leather, which the finely crafted leather of an Eldar Autarch would have. So it's the perfect choice for that. This will stain the red and the Skeleton Horde quite badly, so you need to be super careful when applying this. But so far I've used 3 or 4 colors and the model is already looking all blocked out, looking well. Okay, with all the Wildwood parts applied, it should look something like this. And then on to Volupus Pink to do the outside of his cape. One quick clean coat of this should do the job, as we will be shading it down and washing it, layering it up later on. Quick and easy job. This job would be made much more difficult if that warp generator was indeed in place while I was trying to do this. This is the bit where I kind of wish the spear wasn't there, but it's far enough away from the cloak that it didn't make too much of an impact in the painting process. It's a base coat of the cape done in, what, 10 seconds? Could you do that with anything other than contrast? I don't think so. Now, unfortunately, this is as far as contrast will take us, and it's time to move over to some base paints for some of the other details. So we're going to use our trusty lead belcher to base in any of the bits that need to be silver metallic. So I went for the inside mechanical parts of the fusion gun, including the weapon energy pack, the tip of the spear, and I think that's about it really for the metallic parts on this model. This is the bit that I was really nervous about. Trying not to hit the red fingers or any of the black casing on the gun whilst getting that front hand grip. And then that beautiful spear tip. Making sure not to leave any brush strokes in this. Nice clean swipes of the brush, all following the same direction. Means this will stand out immensely on the battlefield. From here we have to put on the gold colors. So for that we're going to move over to the Retributor Armor Gold. My favorite gold. It's a beautiful base color. Great coverage. And any of the gold trim parts on this miniature, so all of the little gemstones all have gold circlets going around the outside of them. There's a lot of those on the miniature, so be careful. There's a lot of little bubbles on the fusion gun, which if you check the artwork or the MV Metal painted ones, you can see they also did those in gold, so I matched them. It really did break up the gold on the gun, which is fantastic. The big rune in the center of his head and some of the circlets on the spear as well went Retributor Armor Gold. So go through and find all of those bits that need to be gold and slap a base coat of Retributor Armor onto those. If you're unsure, check the 360 on the website. That will show you all of the bits and pieces that need to be gold. It's another one of those times where you need to be super careful not to hit or stain any of the other parts of the miniature. It'll be super hard to go over gold with anything else later on. And that is all of the base coats applied to the miniature. It is time to shade it all down. Like a madman, I decided to use Druchii Violet to shade the entire miniature. Knowing that this would be great for all of the gold, all of the red, it would be fine for the black. It's not the best of choice for the helmet and the cloak, but I do like to give models an all-over coat of the same shade. So I'm willing to sacrifice the ease of layering up the cloak and cloth later on for the ease of shading the entire model now to protect the contrast coat and to give everything the kind of the same hue. Everything will have a slight purple tinge to it, which I think is very Eldari. It really does give a beautiful base coat for the red. I know that might surprise people, but I often shade red with purple or red with green. They both work really, really well as base coats for it. And when it comes to layering up the red color later on, it just pops. It looks fantastic. And I will show you that later on. Obviously, I'm speaking about this model retrospectively, so I've already finished the model and I'm quite pleased with the result. I really can't wait to show it to you guys. So try and trust in my madness, especially here as I layer up the helmet. Will this become a nice pearlescent bone color afterwards? We'll have to wait and see. So while the shade is drying, I'm going to base up the miniature as well. So when we come back to the layering process, it will look nice and neat and tidy and be a beautiful place to continue the paint job. So I'm going to go away and do that really quickly, and I will leave you with this message. I want to start off by thanking you guys for watching the video. I hope you're getting something out of that. Whether it be education, motivation, or entertainment, as long as it's doing one of those things, then I'm happy. If you guys are enjoying the video, I'd appreciate it if you gave it a like and maybe consider subscribing to the channel. Each and every one of you guys who subscribe really helps me out. And if you guys see real value in what I do and want to help out with me making more videos, then there's links to my Patreon below. I would love to have you guys as the newest member of the community. Thank you very much for listening. Let's get back to painting. Okay, now here's the miniature after the shade has dried, and I've taken the time to base the miniature. So it looks super neat and tidy, ready for the layering stage of the paint job. So the first thing I'm going to work on is a beautiful crimson armor, and for that I'm going to use Mephiston red base color. It's a beautiful strong toned red, and I'm just going to take my time and layer up all of the armor panels, leaving that deep purpley red crimson in all of the recesses and all the separated panels nice and defined. And some parts of this you're going to need to use 2 coats just to get that strong color, like on those shoulder pads or on the chest armor there, or on the warp generator, just to make sure you get a really crisp, clean looking red. This will make this miniature stand out immensely on the battlefield. Eye-catching, and definitely be seen as the overall commander of your Eldari forces on the table. And this is what I mean by that. Look how crisp, red, and just explosively vibrant and colorful that model is now, after layering up just one part of it. 2 coats of Mephiston red, and that's what you're left with. When I got to this stage, I was super pleased with where the model was going, and I was very excited to see the model finished up. Next thing I'm going to do is move over to Screaming Skull. I always preferred more bone colored for their cloth and the armor panels on these miniatures over white. The background and story is that these are some sort of bone construct. Bone singers basically sing these pieces into existence. So I like sticking with that as a theme, and I think it sits on the red a lot better than just the perfect white. So I'm just going to show you quickly layering up parts of the mask and the cloth. As you can see, I'm taking my time going around the black face panel. And obviously the gold runes on that helmet as well. I'm going to want to take my time with that. Try not to obscure any of the gold details, but getting that white color in as much as I possibly can. And thinning down the Screaming Skull and giving these parts 2 thin coats as well will leave for a fantastic result. This is the most tedious, slow stage, obviously, because you're going around so much detail. It is worth your time. You won't have to do this on many miniatures in your army. Only really command models have the white helmets, Farseers, Warlocks and the like, and you'll only have 5 or 6 of those in an army. And there is the miniature with all of the parts that need to be layered up with that bone color done. And as you can see, it looks super crisp and almost ready for the battlefield. So now we're going to move over to Screaming Pink, and we're going to use this to put a coat of color back over the cape. And as you can see, the folds are really well defined on this cape. It's not sitting over a knee or have a weapon bending the fabric. It's all going straight down. So it's super easy to find those raised areas and layer those up, leaving the deep purple in all of those recesses. This stage took, I'd say, maybe 30-40 seconds in total to get done. And as long as you're keeping your brush moving in the same direction, it will come out super crisp. I'll show you quickly 2 folds so you can see the kind of amount of purple I leave between the folds. And then a quick shot of the entire cape all purpled up, or screaming pinked up, should I say. I'll flip the model over. Nice, clean, layered up cape. Onto Rhinox hide. We're going to use this to layer up the all those leather pouches, holsters and straps that we did the wildwood color on in the basing process. And this is a very quick coat, just hitting some of the raised areas. Just add a bit more color back into those particular parts. This is not a piece of the miniature that someone is going to spend a lot of time looking at, but we still want it to look neat and tidy because this is a hero character for your army. From there we're going to move over to Ironbreaker, and we're going to use this to layer up all of the gold and silver parts that we did with the base Lead Belcher and Retributor armor. For the gold, we're just going to be doing a few dot highlights in some corners and some key points that will reflect light. And then of course the flat blade of his spear and the metallics on the gun and stuff. We definitely want to leave some of that purple tint in all of those colors, but for the big flat parts, you want to bring it up to a nice crisp silver. I apologize, sometimes the autofocus on this camera prefers my hands to the miniature. And there we have it, there's those bits all layered up. It's now time to do something about all of those beautiful gemstones. For this, I've chosen to use the Warp Lightning color from the contrast range. I also, before this stage, put a dot of white inside the eye slits of the model just so that when I got to this stage, I could just put a bit of warp lightning into the eye sockets as well, and make it look like he has glowing green eyes. Very quick and easy method of doing eyes, and it works a treat for anything that's wearing a helmet. So going in with warp lightning, nothing special about this. Literally over the gold and silver highlights you've done, just paint the gemstone with one coat of warp lightning, and you're going to get these beautiful gemstones. There's no need for the 3 different crescent moons and the dot of white in the top left. It's a really slow method of doing it. Feel free to do that if you want to, but like I said, I'm trying to help you guys get some miniatures on the table quick and easy. Try and stay up with our piles of shame and the insane release schedule of Games Workshop. Here we go, going in with the eyes, being super careful. Warp lightning, of course, would stain the helmet very badly, so I had to be super careful with this. Almost holding my breath narrating over this just to make sure my hand stays steady even though I've already done it. And that is the last touch to be painted on this miniature. The last thing to do is to bring in the warp jump generator that I had been painting alongside the model and getting that glued on. And without further ado, it's time for the grand reveal.